Αγαπητοί μας μπασκετόφιλοι, καλησπέρα σας. Απόψε έχουμε την τιμή να φιλοξενούμε μια τεράστια και εμβληματική μορφή του ΠΑΟΚ. Έναν παίκτη ουσίας που προσέφερε τα μέγιστα με την πολύπλευρη παρουσία του σε επίθεση και άμυνα. Τον Ken Barlow. Γεννήθηκε στις 20 Σεπτεμβρίου του 1964 στην Ινδιανάπολη στον ΗΠΑ. Με θητεία σε Ιταλία και Ισραήλ, ο Αμερικανός forward ήρθε το 1990 στη Θεσσαλονίκη και στην τριετία του με τα ασπρόμαυρα ήταν ένας από τους βασικούς συντελεστές των τίτλων και των μεγάλων στιγμών του ΠΑΟΚ. Ένας από τους κορυφαίους ξένους που αγωνίστηκαν ποτέ στην Ελλάδα. Αγαπητοί μας μπασκετόφιλοι, στην παρέα μας ο Ken Barlow.
Καλησπέρα σας φίλες και φίλοι του μπάσκετ, καλησπέρα σας φίλες και φίλοι του Basketbook. Είναι άλλη μια εκπομπή ρετρό basketball εδώ από το μετερίζει του Basketbook, εδώ με τους διόσκουρους του ρετρό, τον Αντρέα τον Τζεμπερλίδη, την μπένα του Basketbook. Καλησπέρα Αντρέα.
Καλησπέρα Θανάση.
Τον αδερφό Μακριμάλη Γεώργιο Καρούλια.
Μισό λεπτό να φτιάξω το μαλί μου. Μισό λεπτό να φτιάξω το μαλλί μου. Καλησπέρα σε όλους.
Σημερινός καλεσμένος μας είναι ένας θρύλος του ευρωπαϊκού μπάσκετ. Είναι ένας άνθρωπος που έπαιξε πάρα πολλά χρόνια στην Ευρώπη. Είναι ένας άνθρωπος που πέρασε από την Ελλάδα σε 3 καταπληκτικά χρόνια στον ΠΑΟΚ. Είναι ο Ken Barlow. Ken, nice to have you here.
Hey, it's good to be here. I can't say better. It's Kalimera for me.
It's Kalispera for us. It's a pleasure and a privilege to have you here. But before I give you to the two guys our encyclopedia, as you said earlier off the air, let me say something to our people. Να σας θυμίσω ότι τρέχει καθημερινά και σήμερα μάλλον όπως κάθε μέρα ο διαγωνισμός μας. Έχουμε τα 2 κλασικά δώρα του Basketbook, το καπελάκι του Basketbook, νομίζω το καινούργιο αν δεν κάνω λάθος, το πορτοκαλί. Και την μπλούζα του Basketbook, αυτή την πάρα πολύ όμορφη μπλούζα. Και σήμερα, επειδή είναι ο Ken Barlow, τα δώρα του Basketbook είναι από την εταιρεία Νίκαν και το φίλο τον Νίκο τον Ανδριόπουλο. Αλλά σήμερα, επειδή έχουμε τον Ken Barlow και είναι μια πολύ ιδιαίτερη εκπομπή, ο φίλος και αδερφός Άκης Ζωγραφάκης κάνει δώρο ένα footer Kobe Bryant. Οπότε είναι πάρα πολύ ιδιαίτερο το δώρο και σήμερα. Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ Άκη. Οπότε ας μην μακρηγορούμε, στέλνετε τα μηνύματά σας, τα διαβάζω εγώ. Μπαίνετε στο διαγωνισμό, στο τέλος της εκπομπής θα γίνει κλήρωση για το ποιος θα κερδίσει τα δώρα. Λοιπόν, Αντρέα, όντας πρεσβύτερο, σε αφήνω να ξεκινήσεις.
Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Καλησπέρα, Ken. Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
So we said it off there before. We'll take it on there now. Let's start. Let's go real back. You are an Indiana native, and as we know, Indiana basketball in Indiana is something like a religion.
Yes.
So how you came up with basketball? How you started?
Yeah. So originally, I'm not even from Indiana. My father was like Yorgos. He was in the military for 20 years, and I moved around to a lot of different places. So I started school in Japan, and then I moved to Michigan. Then I moved to Ohio. And then when I was 12, we moved to Indiana. And when I arrived in Indiana, everyone was playing basketball, but I had never played basketball before on a team or anything, but I was taller than everyone. So all of the players, all the kids at the park were trying to convince me to play, but I didn't think it was a good game. I actually wanted to play like American football. But anyway, be that as it may, I ran into some good coaches and some good friends that encouraged me, and my older brother encouraged me to keep playing basketball, and it started there. Like not every house, but many houses in Indiana have a basketball court in the driveway. So where people park their cars, they move their cars, everybody's always shooting or playing basketball. And it's the culture. And they think that Indiana in America is the best location. At least the Indiana people think it's the best location. Better than New York, better than Chicago, better than Los Angeles. So, yeah. Anyway, that's the mentality of the people here.
It was after you graduated from high school, you recruited from Notre Dame, right?
Yes. So I had a really good high school team. My teammates we had a really good team. Anyway, one of the best teams. But I'll give you another name. We ultimately lost the state championship to Scott Skiles' team. His team. So you guys remember Scott Skiles from Powell?
Of course.
But he was becoming he was a great player, tough player. Anyway, they beat us, but I was on the national scene as one of the top players in the country, and I received a scholarship to go to play at Notre Dame, which has a really good history of players like Bill Laimbeer and Orlando Woolridge, Kelly Tripucka, those kind of guys. And then when I got there, even John Paxson, who played for the Bulls, he was a senior player. He was a great player as well. And by the time that I was a junior, Notre Dame recruited David Rivers, and he and I became great friends and became actually a great tandem while we played 4 years at Notre Dame, or 2 years at Notre Dame together.
You and David, because you mentioned David, you share history. After you graduate in summer in '86, you worked as for a farmer. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, we were living in the farm, but we were working for a catering service. We serve food to people. Mm-hmm. We deliver different places, and yeah, we were workmates.
And you had a car accident. Do you want to say about about this?
Yeah. So yeah, it was. I had graduated, and I was actually in negotiations with the Atlanta Hawks at the time. And anyway, I was trying to continue to play and to work out. So I went back to South Bend, and I was working, and David was trying to move back to campus. So I took a van. We put all of his belongings in the van. We took him to campus early in the day, like maybe noon at lunch, and we stayed all day. But we had to return the gentleman's van that we borrowed, and so probably about midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, we were coming back, and I was driving pretty fast, probably about 100 kilometers per hour, and a drunk driver caused the accident. He pulled out. He didn't stop at a stop sign, and I swerved, and we flipped the van over, and David got thrown out of the car. And he was hurt. He was hurt really bad. I hurt my ankle pretty bad, but not nearly as bad as he hurt his stomach. And so the accident ripped his stomach, his intestines, his lungs. Everything was out. It was terrible. But anyway, the great thing that happened was God healed him, and the doctors worked with him to give him medicine, and he did not miss one game, but it was a very horrific night. It was very, very, very difficult. I didn't think he was going to be able to play again, but yeah.
Ken, you saved him. You saved him because David had said that if Ken wasn't there, he would be dead. He said that.
Listen, David, I appreciate him saying that, but he was a very tough guy because I remember, even today, asking him, I said, "Are you okay?" Because I couldn't see. It was dark. It was completely night, and I couldn't see completely like the blood or anything like that. So I said, "Are you okay?" And he's laying in a field, a farm field, yes. And he was like, "I think so." I said, "Well, let me help you stand up." And when I tried to help him stand up, he said, "Oh, don't move me because my stomach is hurting." And so when he said that to me, then I looked and I pulled up his shirt, and it was very shocking. But anyway, I ran across the street to a house, and they called the ambulance, and thank God that they got there in time. So I don't know if I take credit for that, but I know David is a very tough guy.
And I also remember Digger Phelps. He was praying, not David becoming a client of his father.
Yeah.
You will allow me to translate that.
Λίγο μετάφραση, ναι.
Ρωτήσαμε τον Ken για την ιστορία που μοιράζεται με έναν άλλον αγαπημένο παίκτη εδώ στην Ελλάδα, τον David Rivers, με τον οποίο ήταν συμπαίκτες στο Πανεπιστήμιο του Notre Dame. Η ιστορία πάει κάπως έτσι. Τέλος πάντων, το καλοκαίρι του 1986, ο Ken είχε επιλογή από το Atlanta Hawks στο draft, βρισκόταν σε διαπραγματεύσεις για να μεταβεί στο NBA και ταυτόχρονα εργαζόταν μαζί με τον David στην κοινότητα, προσφέροντας φαγητό σε άστεγους. Ένα βράδυ που επέστρεφαν στο κάμπ του Πανεπιστημίου μαζί με τον David, ο οδηγός ήταν ο Ken στο φορτηγάκι, ήταν βράδυ, γύρω στη 1 η ώρα το βράδυ. Έτρεχε αρκετά στο δρόμο ο Ken, πήγαινε περίπου 100 χιλιόμετρα την ώρα. Ένας μεθυσμένος οδηγός δεν σταμάτησε στο stop, τους χτύπησε, το αυτοκίνητο πετάχτηκε σε ένα χαντάκι. Ο David εκτοξεύτηκε κυριολεκτικά από το αυτοκίνητο, βρέθηκε περίπου 50 μέτρα μακριά από το αυτοκίνητο, χτύπησε πολύ σοβαρά, αλλά ευτυχώς σώθηκε, έκανε χειρουργία αρκετά, βρέθηκε περίπου 15 μέρες στην εντατική μεταξύ, πάλευε για να κρατηθεί στη ζωή. Τελικά τα κατάφερε και όπως είπα χαρακτηριστικά στον Ken, ο Digger Phelps, ο προπονητής στο Notre Dame, Digger είναι ο νεκροθάφτης στα αγγλικά. Ο πατέρας του Phelps ήταν νεκροθάφτης. Και γι' αυτό το λόγο είχε αυτό παρατσούκι Digger και παρακάλαγε τον Θεό να μην γίνει ο Rivers πελάτης του πατέρα του. Οπότε αυτή είναι η ιστορία. Γιώργο, θες να συνεχίσεις?
Of course. Hello, Sir Barlow. It's an honor and a pleasure having you here. Before we continue with your career, I would like to tell you something. Some months ago, we had Rich Relford that you played against in the NIT finals in 1984, if I recall correctly.
Yes. Wow. Yeah. Wow, you do great.
Thank you. It was funny because Rich said that winning back then the NIT was the highlight of his career, alongside with Roy Tarpley. And it's funny that that final contained so many players that we really love and respect and adore in Greece. What do you remember about that Notre Dame team?
Actually, that was a good team. We were led by a guy, Tom Sluby, who played with the Dallas Mavericks for 1 year. But the Notre Dame team was a little young. It was Tim Kempton, who actually played in Verona, Italy. He was a teammate. He was a sophomore. I was a sophomore. There was another guy who actually played in the NFL, Joe Howard Johnson. He was the point guard for Notre Dame. But then on the Michigan side, they had players like Roy Tarpley, Richard Relford, Tim McCormick, who was a top 15 pick in the draft, who was really good. They had another guy, Eric Turner. I'm not sure if you know him, but he was a really good guard. Antoine Jobert. But it was a great time. I knew Richard from the McDonald's All-American game, even 2 years before that. So he was a tremendous player. And Roy Tarpley, even to this day, is maybe one of the. I mean, he was a great player. Even in that game, he was good. He wasn't the best player on Michigan's team that day, but he was when he was playing, I was like, wow. I was like, this guy is exceptional. So I'm a big fan of Roy Tarpley's. And Rich Relford is one of the greatest guys as a friend. Always and a super talent. I mean, he was scoring like 30 points a game in Greece, I think, at Ike, if I'm not mistaken. So no, it was great players. I mean, it was great memories. Michigan actually beat us up in the second half. I don't know if Richard told you that, but it was a close game until after halftime. And then after halftime, they kind of took control of the game. They won. They won the game by like 15 or 17 points, something like that.
Κάντε μετάφραση, θα πάω στα σχόλια, γιατί έχουμε πάρα πολλά και θα τα χάσουμε.
Βεβαίως.
Και την αγαπημένη many
comments. We have many comments.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, let me translate and then we will go straight to the comments. Ρώτησα τον Ken για εκείνη την ομάδα του Notre Dame μαζί με τον David Rivers, οι οποίοι αντιμετώπισαν το 1984 στον τελικό του NIT, του τουρνουά της παρηγοριάς όπως λένε, που και έχασαν από τους Michigan, του Rich Relford και του Roy Tarpley. Ο Ken μας είπε ότι διαχρονικά αγαπούσε το ταλέντο του Roy Tarpley, τον θεωρούσε έναν από τους πιο ταλαντούχους παίκτες που έχει δει ποτέ, και επίσης λάτρευε και το ταλέντο του Rich, ο οποίος τον θεωρούσε έναν κορυφαίο σκόρερ αλλά και έναν πολύ αγαπητό φίλο. Θανάση μου, πάμε στα σχόλια.
Λοιπόν, είναι πάρα πολλά τα σχόλια που μας έχετε στείλει και σας ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ. Κάποια σχόλια θα τα διαβάσω. Δεν είναι η ώρα να κάνουμε αυτές τις ερωτήσεις που έχουν τα σχόλια, γιατί είναι μέσα στη θεματολογία. Ο Δημήτρης ο Μαρίνας γράφει Amazing player. Ο Βασίλης ο Μπέλας Legendary Ken Barlow, a real fighter. Δημήτρης Διαμαντίδης was influenced by the tactics of Ken Barlow, as he revealed during his interview to Betarades. That's what Mitcho said. Dragan Sakoda or Dusan Ivkovic in terms of knowledge and tactics. Who was the best coach of Ken Barlow during his European career? Θα τις σημειώσετε τις ερωτήσεις ή να τις σημειώσω εγώ?
Όχι, αν θέλει ο Ken να σου απαντήσει αυτή.
Okay, Ken, what about Dragan Sakoda or Dusan Ivkovic?
Dragan Zakata or Dusan Ivkovic? Who was better? That's what you're asking me?
Yeah.
Listen, that's a very tough question because and I'll tell you the truth. I was originally very sad when Drazen Zakata did not return my second year in Greece. It was very sad. I didn't ask anyone, but I didn't understand why he didn't come back. But as a result, we ended up with Dusan Ivkovic, who is legendary. So probably he ranks a little bit higher, I think, internationally because they had coached the national team and they had won medals with Yugoslavia. But I actually love Drazen Zakata and Dusan Ivkovic, probably equally the same. Ivkovic was a little more tough. He was a little bit more tough day to day in the practice. But Zakata, I really enjoyed working and playing for him as well. So it was. But I used to tell my sons all the time, never complain about any coach because you have a bigger responsibility as the player.
Okay. Who was the best coach in your European career?
Are you kidding me?
Had Ralph Klein, Swiss Surf, Dusan Ivkovic, Dragan Sakoda,
Dan Peterson.
Dan Peterson. Carlo Recalcati. I mean, these guys are legendary. I said earlier before we were recording earlier, listen, I had a fantastic time in Europe and it's very difficult for me to say like the best coach or the best player I played against sometimes, but because I played with so many great players, coaches. I mean, Dan Peterson is legendary in Tracer Milan. Carlo Recalcati, when I left PAOK, I went to Reggio Calabria, Italy, and he became the national team coach for Italians. They won a silver medal in 2004. Then you have Dusan Ivkovic. You have Ralph Klein as a person. I loved him as a coach. And maybe I was the closest from a player coach. I was the closest to probably Ralph Klein. He was not just a friend. He was more like a father figure because I used to go stay at his house before my family came to Israel. Svika Sheriff. I mean, I played for another guy in Maccabi for 4 months. Ted Owens, who's legendary here from the University of Kansas. It's kind of a who's who. Some other guys are like Alex Vanelli, who's still coaching in Italy now, and Luca Banchi, who was coaching in Milan just a couple years ago. I mean. So it's very hard, and I think it's maybe a little bit unfair to maybe pick one of those guys out. I'm just very grateful to God that I was able to play with so many great ones, so many great coaches.
By the way, just a little comment. Your memory is amazing. You remember everyone.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to. I listened to you guys earlier. I'm like, these guys are pros, so I'm going to have to bring my A game.
Thanks a lot.
Θανάση,
σχόλια.
Ναι, έχω καμιά κοσαριά ακόμα. Ο Γιώργος Ρωμανίδης, thanks for the memories, Kenny. Ο Χάρης ο Κάτος, hi to Kenny. Ευχαριστούμε θερμά που τον υποδεχτήκατε και όμορφο που θυμάται ακόμα τα ελληνικά του. Ο Κώστος Τσιλιγκερίδης, τι πιστεύει ότι έδειξε ο 93 στο Final Four στα play-off, νομίζω το συζητήσουμε αργότερα.
Ναι.
Respect από τον Τάκης Παπ, ο Άκης ο Γραφάκης στέλνει την καλησπέρα του, όπως και ο Κωνσταντίνος Παναγιωτόπουλος, ο Πανός ο Μπόχας, ο Θοδωρής Χατζημανού λέει our guy all the best Ken, best player ever από την Κλεοπάτρα την Πολύζου, καλησπέρα του Θοδωρή του Νταμπάκη, τον Νεοκλήτο Θεοχαρίδη, απίστευτος παίκτης, απίστευτος άνθρωπος, πολύ γέλιο τύπος από τον Ιωάννη τον Χομελά, ο Χάρης ο Κάτος πάλι ευτυχώς τον έχουμε κοντά μας. Τώρα έχασα το μισό λεπτάκι, έχουμε πάρα πολλά ακόμα. Ωραία, ας τα αφήσουμε εδώ, συνεχίστε να κάνω άλλη να θυμίσω τα σχόλια που στέλνετε, μπαίνουν στο διαγωνισμό για το καπέλο και την μπλούζα Basketbook από την εταιρεία Νίκανα και τον Νίκο Ανδριόπουλο. Και σήμερα λόγω του Ken έχουμε και δώρο, ένα super δώρο από το ζωγραφάκι και το Flight Club Cost, μία footer Kobe Bryant. Να συνεχίσω. Αχ, το draft 86 νομίζω ήταν σαν draft, λέει ο Χάρης ο Κάτος. Ο Τζον Νίκος Πέτρο, φίλος εκπομπής, γουβερλάκι του have him in our league, great basketball player and human. Παπαχρόνης ή Τσέκος, ρωτάει ο Κώστος Τζιλγκερής, θα το ρωτήσω. Ken, what about who you liked most, Πιτ Παπαχρόνης or Χρήστος Τσέκος? Who had better elbows? More shiny.
Hey, listen. We're gonna have to make this a Facebook feed. So we're gonna have to do this every day because Pete Papacronis. I mean, basketball is a small world. Pete Papacronis was a little bit small, undersized. Maybe maybe if he was 208, 210, he's still playing in Europe today. But Chekos, for me as a teammate, maybe one of my best teammates with the biggest heart, strongest body, great teammate to have. So yeah, I mean, picking between those two is like trying to pick the same with the coaches. This is difficult.
Yeah. Okay.
Έχω ένα σχόλιο εδώ από το Στέλιο τον Καπαροταφές που είναι πάρα πολύ ωραίο να το ρωτήσουμε, πάρα πολύ αστείο. Λέει, αν προλαβαίνετε τον θυμίσετε, τον είχαμε πετύχει σε μια παλιά παραδοσιακή ταβέρνα στην Όλγας και με την οικογένειά του και τους κατσίκιδες. Παιδάκια, εμείς πήγαμε να πάρουμε αυτόγραφο, αλλά μας έκαναν bullying οι κατσίκιδες και το βάλαμε στα πόδια χωρίς αυτόγραφο. Ken, there's a fan here who comments an old story. You were in a restaurant at Vasilis Olgas with your family and the Katsikis brothers, and he was a little kid.
Nick and Tom.
He was trying.
Do you remember them?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was trying to get an autograph from you, and he says that the Katsikis brothers bullied him and they left. You remember this story?
Nick and Nickies were now they were amazingly funny. They were always doing something some things I would never do. Kasiki's brothers are good guys, but they were always making their life a little bit more challenging. So to whoever said it, tell them, hey, if you didn't get the autograph, my apologies. But when I come back to Greece, we can make some arrangements.
Ωραία. Να το ακούσει αυτό ο φίλος ο Στέλιος.
Μπράβο. Είναι πάρα πολλά σχόλια, δεν χρειάζεται να λέμε τις καλησπέρες. Είναι άλλο ένα σχόλιο που λέει ποια είναι η καλύτερη και η χειρότερη στιγμή του στον Πάκο. Πιστεύω θα τη ρωτήσετε αργότερα.
Ναι, θα το ρωτήσουμε.
Και το τελευταίο, αυτό θα το ρωτήσουμε να τελειώσουμε, να φύγουμε από την πρώτη 50 σχολείων. Ο Γιώργος Ρωμανίδης λέει, can you tell us what did you say to Maggie at the final in Geneva in the last minute?
Hey, yeah. So I think I told him, hey, Kevin, I love you, but I need you to miss one shot for me because you owe me from some days in Israel. So he missed one. I don't know purpose, but he missed one. He tried to tell me to move away from him, but I was happy that he missed. And he's a great shooter, great hands, great eye coordination. But yeah, so I was just, as a friend, I wasn't saying anything very negative. I was just trying to move his concentration from 100% to maybe 95.
Kenny, did you miss Kevin?
Yes. Actually, I talk to his wife Melanie quite often, and I went down to when they had his funeral. I don't know, maybe it's a long time now, maybe 18 years ago or so. But yeah, Kevin was a great. Well, you guys know he was a great player, but he was really a really better person. I mean, he was a super person. He would give you everything off his back. Anybody, you know, he was just that kind of a nice guy. So yeah, I miss Kevin very much.
You saw him in the court, and he was he saw like a gorilla guy because he was too strong, and yeah. But he was a great heart. Yes, he was a great heart.
Great. Maybe the best hands. I mean, his hands, like I never saw him drop a ball. You know, like if you pass to him or if the rebound comes off, if he touch it, it's for Kevin. That's for sure.
And this surf we had, he was here like you, and I asked him how tall he was, and he said that he was not more than 6'6". Is that true?
He's probably, yeah. Kevin's not as tall as you think, but he's probably 204, 203, 203, 204. Okay. Yeah, but he was. Yeah, he's a beast. So I mean, you guys saw him. He was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Μιλάμε για τον Kevin McGee για τους θεατές που μας βλέπουν. Ένα πραγματικά τεράστιο παίκτη, ο οποίος δυστυχώς δεν είναι πια στη ζωή. Οι παλιότεροι το θυμούνται από τη Μακάμπη και τη Σαραγώσα. Ken, we have the PAOK fans that are watching are waiting to go to PAOK. But before PAOK, we have to go to ask you for other things, like the NBA. So, why Ken Barlow didn't try for the NBA?
Listen, I'm maybe I'm a little bit different, but I have, and not that I'm perfect, but I believe in fairness. And so initially the Atlanta Hawks weren't giving me the value in my contract that I thought was fair. And I didn't think I was asking for anything outrageous. But after that, it became very difficult for me to come back to the NBA because my career was going so well in Europe. So, you know, my first year in Milan, we won the Italian League, the Italian Cup, and the Euro League. And then my second year, I go to Israel, and we won the Israeli League, the Israeli Cup, and we came in second in the Euro League. And at that point, teams were calling me, like Barcelona offered me a contract, you know, like a lot of big teams. And then Maccabi offered me a better contract. So at the time, considering, you know, that I was very comfortable playing in Europe, I was playing at a very high level. It was very difficult to really get something in the NBA at that time in the late 80s, early 90s that really made sense for me because I'm a player who wants to play and I want a fair opportunity to play. And so Atlanta, besides the money, they didn't really offer me a fair opportunity. They actually told me, they said, listen, we are very happy with our team and we don't want to break our lineup. And so I was like, well, that doesn't mean you're going to even give me a chance other than I'm going to have a uniform sitting on the bench. So, you know, you have to kind of weigh some of the options to try to figure out what's best. And, you know, now looking back, I think I made the best choice.
So no regrets. No regrets.
Oh, no. Listen, and at the end of my career, I finished with 12 titles in 3 different countries. And I could have never imagined such a great career playing with such great coaches and great players and playing against many great players. Like, I mean, Drazen Petrovic and Dino Raja and Arvydas Sabonis, everybody in Greece. I mean, when I first saw Antonio Davis playing in Panathinaikos, I was like, wow. And I live in Indianapolis, and I was like, how in the heck do you get to Panathinaikos? I play against all the Pacer guys and at home. At the time, they did not have an athlete in the front court like Antonio Davis. So I knew that he would be back. But, you know, sometimes it's just timing. You know, the timing wasn't really in my favor. So, and I didn't look back because everything in Europe was going so well.
Can he accept titles and money in Europe and especially in Greece? You earned a lot of love and respect.
Yeah, listen.
From all the Greek fans.
Listen, and my feelings for PAOK and Thessaloniki and the Greek Basketball League and the country of Greece is phenomenal today. Because I did not know before I arrived in Greece like what to expect. But once I arrived in PAOK and the hospitality from the PAOK organization, from Mr. Vergigis all the way down to the 12th man on the team was phenomenal. The PAOK fans were number one. They were awesome. And if you aren't ready to play basketball, when you show up in the Palais de Sport, you'll get ready really quick because the atmosphere was just very, very great for basketball. So I could have never imagined that. So it was good. It was better than good. It was fantastic. You guys, listen, it was fantastic. It was a great time to be in Greece and a great time to be playing basketball in Europe.
Χαρά σε Ευαγγέλια και τους φίλους του ΠΑΟΚ που μας βλέπουν. Όπως ακούτε, ο Ken έχει τρομερές αναμνήσεις από την Ελλάδα και τον ΠΑΟΚ. Γιώργο, do you want to continue for Italy?
Of course. It was weird. You were drafted, I think, 23rd in the draft in 1986. And yet you decided to come to Italy, to a team that was built to win, literally. It had Dino Meneghin, already a legend in Italy. It had Mike D'Antoni, who was also growing old, but still was an amazing player, playmaker, and a defender. And they also got an NBA legend, one of the best players to ever play the game, Bob McAdoo. They also had a great coach, Dan Peterson, the coach, as its nickname is in Italy. How come you accepted the offer, and what was your experience in Italy in such a great team?
Ha! Hey, listen. So I had a great agent. A guy by the name of Larry Flasher. He is the one who started the NBA Players Association. He represented players like Oscar Robertson, Earl Monroe, John Havlicek, Bob Lanier. I mean, he had all those guys, and he was a very smart guy. So when I sat down to talk to him about my options when we were having trouble negotiating a contract, I talked to him about my options to play. He presented to me the opportunity to go to Italy, but I actually had because I was the 23rd pick in the first round, I was very marketable to play. So that kind of played into it. And so he was trying to make sure that I ended up in a place that would be the most success, that I could have the most success. So he actually told me, he goes, listen, we have some options to go to Italy. He said, but I think the Milan is the best option. And he told me why, exactly like you said. He said, listen, they have an American coach. So, and he's a legend in Italy. So you're not going to have problems communicating with the team. They have Dino Meneghin, who's played in 5 Olympic Games, and he speaks English. They have Mike D'Antoni, who's an Italian-American, who's also the point guard running the team, who's also speaking English. And they're going to bring in Bob McAdoo, who is a great player. So he's going to take a lot of pressure off of you. And you're going to be in Milan, which is a metropolitan city. You can do a lot of American things like American movie theaters, the USA Today, all those kind of things. He says, so your transition will be much easier. And they are the defending Italian League champions. He said, I think you'll be fine. So with all those things, and then Milan was telling me, you're going to be in the starting 5, no questions asked, just come over and play well. So does it make sense? It wasn't as difficult as some people think, other than people who are a lot of American players think that the NBA logo is the end all to it all, or, the biggest prize. But, and I think that's true, but it has to be the biggest prize in terms of your career as well.
We Greek fans got to know you the first time against Aris, the great Aris of Nick Gellis, Panagiotis Giannakis. And, we remember that game with sadness, because the rematch in Italy, a miracle, as people said. The the miracle of Palatroussard, it brings hurtful memories to Greek fans because nobody expected that outcome. Though I would like to hear the side of the victor. And as a bonus question, I always wanted to ask is that you were a young player in a team full of veterans, like 35, 36, 37 years old. Everyone, each one of them, D'Antoni, McAdoo, Dino, everyone was old, was getting old, was actually not in the brink of retirement, but they were close. How did you experience all that? Did you get any particular lessons from them?
Yeah, of course. I couldn't have been in a better position as a 22-year-old player, absorbing basketball knowledge, what it really meant to be a winner, what it meant to be a professional, and that's on and off the court, what it meant to compete like every day. So, these guys, Dino Meneghin and Bob McAdoo and Mike D'Antoni, those guys were like my big brothers. And for example, McAdoo would tell me, because we were roommates, he would tell me all the time, he goes, listen, you have to establish what kind of player you're going to be. And you have to allow people to know that you can do your job every day. He said, so if your job is 20 points and 10 rebounds, you have to do that. You have to do that every day. And if you fall short, you have to make it up, and you have to make sure that you're at your plateau. So, that, and then just approaching the games, like when we approached that game against Aries and we were down by 31 points, the attitude was, hey, let's take it 5 minutes at a time and let's win every 5 minutes. So after the first 5 minutes of the game, we're like, okay, we got to win the next 5 minutes, and we got to win the next. So we weren't coming in thinking to make up the 31 points, but it was their wisdom and it was their mentality of how, and if we fell short, we fall short, but we're not going to fall short without a plan. So that was the one thing I really learned in that situation. So our goal was to win in segments, not to win like 20 minutes, but to win 5 minutes and to win the next 5 minutes. And so
when the game ended and you won by 34, what were your feelings? What did people think before the game, during the game, and after the game? I focused on this game because it really was painful for Greeks. It's like they say it was maybe Aries' greatest chance for a title, because they thought it was certain they would gonna win or even not lose by 32 or more.
Hey, let me say this first. I cannot believe that are you sure you're 20? How old are you?
28. I was born in 1993. Yeah.
Oh my God, you're talking like you're 48 for sure. Like it's amazing. It's amazing, your questions. I really appreciate your wisdom and your knowledge and your insight into these questions. Yeah, listen, before the game, our spirit was only to fight and to go down fighting. And we were thinking Aries is going to literally have to chop our necks off for us not to fight. So that was the mentality before the game. So we were thinking, if nothing else, this is going to be a war, right? After the game, I think everyone, at least for the players, we couldn't celebrate like the fans, because everyone was completely exhausted. We were happy, but we were more exhausted on the energy and the everything that we put into that game was more exhausting than celebratory. Although we were happy to have advanced, because listen, I don't think anyone in Italy thought it was possible, and I quite frankly, I don't think anyone on the team was 100% convinced that we could actually win that game. But maybe the best case scenario would be we won by 20 points and we can count that as a victory, even though we would have lost to advance in the EuroLeague. But yeah, it was even on our side of it as victors, it was maybe one of the toughest situations it was, I think, the toughest situation I've ever been in as a player. And I think if you talk to anybody else from Milan, I would think they would say the same thing. I mean, that was a very big mountain to climb and to cross over. And it was just by the grace of God that he gave a little bit more blessings to the Tracy Milano crew than the average team that day.
Let me translate that. Ρωτήσαμε τον Ken για ένα παιχνίδι το οποίο μας πονάει ως Έλληνες. Δεν θα το κρύψουμε, νομίζω. Συμφωνείς, Αντρέα?
Ναι, βέβαια.
Το Miracolo de Palatrusardi, το θαύμα που έγινε στην Ιταλία, για το οποίο έχουν ακουστεί πάρα πολλά, δεν χρειάζεται να τα αναφέρουμε αυτή τη στιγμή. Ο Ken αναφέρει ότι υπήρχε πίστη στην ομάδα, ότι θα έπρεπε να κερδίζουν, και αυτό το έμαθε και από τους βετεράνους της ομάδας, τον Bob McAdoo, τον Mike D'Antoni, τον Dino Meneghin, ότι πρέπει να κερδίζουμε 5 λεπτά τη φορά, ότι στο πρώτο 5 λεπτό πρέπει να κερδίσουμε. Το δεύτερο 5 λεπτό δηλαδή το πήγαιναν τμηματικά. Από εκεί και πέρα η αλήθεια είναι ότι κανένας δεν το πίστευε στην Ιταλία. Ακόμα και στην ομάδα ίσως δεν το πίστευαν 100%. 32 πόντοι ήταν πάρα πολύ, 31 για να σπάσει η διαφορά. Και στο τέλος, όπως εξελίχθηκε το παιχνίδι, ήταν τόσο κουρασμένοι, τόσο εξουθενωμένοι από την προσπάθεια που κατέβαλαν οι παίκτες του Dan Peterson, που δεν είχαν το κουράγιο να πανηγυρίσουν όπως οι φίλαθλοι. Αντρέα μου, θες να συνεχίσεις, να ανοίξω κι εγώ μία το φως?
Ναι. Και after Italy, you went to Maccabi?
Yes.
And as a member of Maccabi, I went with the hand in your heart. In Munich, did you underestimate Vigiplastica?
No. Actually, we did not underestimate Yugoplastica. It was we had beaten them twice, but we didn't underestimate them because the second time we won, they didn't play all of their players on purpose, because I don't think they didn't want to show us everything, and they did not want to. When we played them the second time, it was already secure who the Final Four was going to be. It was just a matter of who's going to finish second, third, or fourth, in what position. And I don't think Yugoplastica wanted to play us in the semifinal game. So not that they were afraid, but I think they felt like the strategy was that. So even though we beat them twice, we really beat them once. And the game that we beat them was on a last-second shot in Yugoplastica by Doran Jumpshy. So we knew that it was going to be a very difficult game. Probably what a lot of people, you want some real insight to a crazy situation. So Kevin McGee, LeVar Mercer, Willie Sims, and I, when we arrived in Munich, we were detained for 2 hours by the German police. And so,
Why?
Yeah, because the truth is we were black.
You're kidding now.
Really?
No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding you. Look at your face. No, we're traveling with the team. I'll just leave it like this. We're traveling with. I'm not saying that's the reason we lost. We're traveling with the team, and we arrived in Munich, and we're with the 10 players and the managers, and the German police came and said, you, and you come with us.
What was the reason? What?
For what?
You didn't ask?
Can you?
And so I just, whatever you need me to do, I'm trying to do it, and let's go. So it took a long time, but with reference to the direct reference to the game, listen, that Yugoplastica team was the only thing they did not have on their side on that game was experience. They had talent, they had depth, they had great coaching. Michaelvich was a great coach. Tony Kukoc, Dino Raja, Sobin, Savic, Ivanovic, Parasovic. I mean, the team was like 8 or 9 deep. The only thing they didn't have, they were young, but they were very confident. They were very good. So listen, they beat us, and it was a tough game. We beat them the first time by 1 point. The second time we beat them by like 7 or 8, but they didn't play everybody, so we knew it was a tough game. So yeah, so I had to I actually posted on Facebook about 5 years ago that story about the police, because I was like, can you believe they locked us up and took us to jail?
It's unbelievable. Let me translate that. Ρωτήσαμε τον Ken αν στο Μόναχο, όπου ήταν μέλος της Μακάμπι, υποτίμησαν την γιγοπλάστικα. Ο Ken μας απάντησε όχι φυσικά. Είχαν συναντηθεί στον Όμιλο 2 φορές και στο δεύτερο παιχνίδι η γιγοπλάστικα δεν είχε κατέβει με όλα της τα αστέρια. Ο Μάλκοβιτς προφανώς ήταν κάτι να κρύψει.
Τα κλασικά, τα γιουγκοσλάβικα αυτά, τα σέρβικα.
Και επίσης όταν πήγαν στο Μόναχο, μας είπε μια ιστορία ο Ken, ότι αυτός, ο Σίμς, ο Μαγκί και ο Λαγό Μέρσερ συνελήφθησαν τη γερμανική αστυνομία απλά λόγω του χρώματός τους. Σημεία των καιρών, τι να πούμε. Και στον τελικό, αυτό μας είπε ο Ken, είναι ότι το μόνο που έλειπε τη γιγοπλάστικα ήταν η εμπειρία. Κατά τα άλλα, ήταν η πιο ταλαντούχα ομάδα της Ευρώπης εκείνη την εποχή, με παίκτες τεράστιους. Δεν χρειάζεται να σας αναφέρουμε, Κούκος, Ράτζα, Ιβάνοβιτς, Περάσοβιτς και έναν πολύ μεγάλο προπονητή. Και πραγματικά είναι η κορυφαία ομάδα που αντιμετώπισε ο Ken στην καριέρα του στην Ευρώπη.
Αυτό ήταν και ερώτηση ενός φίλου μας, οπότε απαντήθηκε.
Ναι.
Είναι μέσα στα σχόλια ποια ήταν η καλύτερη ομάδα που αντιμετώπισε σε τελικό.
Ken, I said that Yugoslavia maybe is the best team you face in Europe, in your career in Europe.
Yeah, that was a great team. I thought we had a great team in Maccabi that year too. That was a great team in Maccabi. I mean, we knew we were good, but Yugoslavia was, that's probably the greatest team. Yeah, the greatest team that I faced in terms of team strength and team depth. Yeah, that team was great. That team was great. Maybe the only team that could beat us, really. Yeah. I mean, we played the Sixers that year with Charles Barkley and Mo Cheeks in Philadelphia, and they beat us 108-107. So we were very confident from the beginning of the season, but Yugoslavia in Europe was great. I mean, that's probably the greatest team I faced. Overall team strength. Yeah, coach, players. Yeah, it was great. It was a great team. Yeah.
Okay. Let me go now to the straight point of the interview. PAOK.
Yeah.
How did you come to PAOK? Who called you for PAOK?
Hey, listen. Okay, so actually, Mr. Virgil G's called me the year before when I was in Maccabi, and we came to play Aries, and he had someone call me in the hotel. What's the name? I can't remember the name of the hotel. But anyway, it's where all the teams were staying in Thessaloniki. But anyway,
Macedonia Palace.
Say it again.
Δεν ξέρω τώρα που μπορεί να μένω, δεν έχει σημασία.
So he called me like when I was playing for Maccabi, and he was asking me, he had someone ask me would I consider coming to PAOK. But at the time, I did not understand PAOK or
you didn't know about PAOK.
Yeah. So I didn't know. So I thought I didn't think it was a serious phone call. But anyway, long story short, it was my third year in Maccabi, and actually I was coming off a knee surgery, and the year was a little bit difficult. It was the only year I was there that we didn't qualify for the Final Four, and I take a lot of responsibility for that. But at the end of the season, my agent called me and he said, I have an opportunity for you to go play in Thessaloniki for the team across town for PAOK. And I told him, I said, I've heard some very difficult stories in Greece, so I'm not sure. Let's wait for a while. So I waited, and PAOK, I think, signed Terry Mills. And
yes.
Terry Mills was like the 16th player. And then ultimately Terry Mills left, and then they signed my friend Irving Thomas. And Irving was a young player, and I don't think he really understood Greek basketball or European basketball at the time, just because he was young. He was a great player as well. But
he did for one halftime.
Yeah. So
against Ike.
Yeah, and so then my agent called me back and said, "Hey, I think the team PAOK is going to make a change. They would, and you're still here. They want to know if you'd be interested in coming." And I said, "Well, it was like September. It was actually the week, like 4 days before we played Aries. And anyway, I told myself, sure. So I took the contract, and when I arrived in Greece and I went to my first practice, I saw the players, and I was like, really, right away, I thought, hey, this could be a great situation, because I saw Vasilis and Prelovic and Korfis and Nikos Stavropoulos and all those players, and I was like, hey, the only thing the team didn't have at the time, we didn't even have a secure coach, because even Dragan Zakata was not even the coach yet. I don't know if you remember that, but anyway, I thought it was a great team.
Kostas Politis was the coach, and he was fired out, and then came Dragan.
Yeah. So anyway, when I played the first game against Aries, Sakis Laios was the coach.
Mm-hmm.
He coached that game. But anyway, yeah, it was. I didn't understand, but I knew right away. I had actually surprisingly stepped into a great situation. I was like, this is gonna be great. I said, I can play the power forward spot. We got Vasilis back here blocking shots. Korfis and Prelovic and Stavropoulos are fantastic. I'm like, this is like cake. It's like it's gonna be like stealing candy from a baby on this team.
So, ρωτήσαμε τον Γκέν για το πώς ήρθε στον ΠΑΟΚ. Μας είπε ότι ο Νίκος Ρετζής τον είχε επικοινωνήσει μαζί του από την προηγούμενη χρονιά, πριν έρθει ο Ken στον ΠΑΟΚ. Τότε ο Ken ήταν ακόμα στο Μακάμπι, δεν ήθελε να φύγει. Την επόμενη χρονιά προερχόταν από μια εγχείρηση στο γόνατο. Ο ΠΑΟΚ τότε είχε αποκτήσει δοκιμαστικά τον Terry Mills, ο οποίος αργότερα πήγε στο NBA. Ήρθε ο Irving Thomas στη θέση του. Έπαιξε μόλις ένα ημίχρονο σε έναν αγώνα με την Nike. Δεν μπόρεσε να προσαρμοστεί. Και μετά ήρθε ξανά στην επιφάνεια ο Ken. Ήρθε ο Ken στη Θεσσαλονίκη. Δεν ήξερε τίποτα για τον ΠΑΟΚ. Δεν γνώριζε για τον ΠΑΟΚ. Γνώριζε μόνο για τον Άρη από το ελληνικό μπάσκετ. Και όταν μπήκε στην πρώτη προπόνηση στο Αλεξάνδριο, κατάλαβε ότι αυτή η ομάδα είχε πολλές δυνατότητες. Και ενθουσιάστηκε με τους συμπαίκτες του, τον Παναγιώτη Φασούλα, τον Νίκο Σταυρόπουλο, τον Πάνη τον Μπρέλεβιτς.
Τον Νίκο Στραβόπουλο.
Συγγνώμη.
Τον Νίκο Στραβόπουλο, όπως είπε.
Τον Τζον Κόρφα. Και έτσι ξεκίνησε η διαδρομή του Ken στην Ελλάδα και στον ΠΑΟΚ. Ken, I just want to ask you one question. Would you like to play again, if you could, of course, the final in Nantes or the semi-final in Athens?
The semi-final in Athens.
The semi-final in Athens.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Why?
It was a much. Obviously, it's a EuroLeague championship. It was the Final Four. It's and the teams that were there: PAOK, Benetton, Real Madrid, Limoges. It doesn't get better. I mean, those were four great teams, and Maurizio Borgazzi hit that last second shot and it killed us. But it came down. The game came down to one play and one shot. I would like to play that one over and have a chance to get to the final, because I know Michaelvich's teams were very tough defensively and they played, but I think they would have had a hard time with us. I think we had more overall strength than them. It would have been a tough game, but I think we no disrespect to them, because Michael Young and those guys were really good, and we were playing in Athens. I mean, we're in Greece. I mean, who doesn't want to play at home for the EuroLeague? Yeah, so yeah. That.
Okay, so I will make you again the question that I make you off the air. When the summer of '92, Dusan Ivkovic was looking for the second foreign player. His first choice was L. Harrison. Harrison was injured. And the second choice was Cliff Livingston. And you, on Cliff, you were playing in the same position, the position of the power forward. So you had to go one position down as a small forward. Do you think that this was a problem?
It was a little bit, but it wasn't a big problem. I don't think it was a big problem. As I said earlier, I think when we get to the Final Four and kind of things, Chekos didn't play. And then he was one of the main pieces off the bench. And then our depth was a little bit questionable. If we were like Tracer Milan, for example, who were like 9 players deep, I think if we were like 8, at least 8 players, 9 players, I think me playing the 3 would have been a less of an impact. But yeah, so I think it's easy to say, we were playing the same position, which 4 position was my favorite position. But I think if we could have rotated a couple more players and changed the lineup a little bit, I think we could have gotten through that. Yeah, and really, when it came down to it, we lost a lot of momentum when we lost in Athens because it kind of affected us when we went into the playoffs against Olympiacos that year. So yeah, so it was close. It was close, but it wasn't perfect. Let me say that it wasn't perfect. It could have been a little bit better. And so yeah, so I don't really place the blame completely on being at the 3. I just think there was a little bit more. And maybe with a little luck, we win everything instead of not winning anything. So yeah, it was tough. That's maybe the toughest defeat was that one because
it still hurts you, I think. It still hurts you, I think.
Yeah, because we anyway, yeah, it was tough. It was tough.
Mm-hmm.
How much time do we have?
Μπορώ να μιλήσω λίγο.
Να μεταφράσω λίγο. Yeah. Ναι. Ρώτησα τον Γκέν μια ερώτηση η οποία ταλανίζει ειδικά τους παοκτζίδες εδώ και αρκετά χρόνια. Για το γεγονός ότι ουσιαστικά ο Ken και ο Cliff Levingston έπαιζαν στην ίδια θέση, αυτή του power forward, και όταν αποκτήθηκε ο Cliff στη θέση του Earl Harrison, αναγκαστικά ο Ken έπρεπε να μετακινηθεί μια θέση πιο κάτω σε αυτή του small forward. Ο Ken μας είπε ότι ναι, ίσως έπαιξε ένα ρόλο αυτό στο γεγονός της ομοιογένειας, αλλά η ομάδα, αν θυμάστε, πήγαινε τρένο ολόκληρη τη χρονιά. Ουσιαστικά έχασε για ένα σουτ αυτό του Μαουρίτσιο Ραγκάτσι την πρόκριση στον τελικό και κατ' επέκταση το κύπελλο των Αλθριών. Και ο Ken πιστεύει ότι αν είχαν λίγο περισσότερη τύχη, εκείνη η ομάδα του ΠΑΟΚ, εκείνη η τρομερή ομάδα του ΠΑΟΚ, θα έκανε τρομερά πράγματα μέσα στην Αθήνα, μέσα ουσιαστικά στην έδρα τους. Ken, excuse me, how more time we have?
Actually, I have a meeting in about 5 minutes.
Okay. We're going to end it. Γιώργο, Θανάση, να μας πει τις 3 αριθμούς σε λίγο, Ken, και να κάνουμε 2 τελευταίες ερωτήσεις.
Να σου πω τον control για τους ποιους αριθμούς λόγω της αναγκαιότητας να φύγει ο Ken στο τέτοιο. Έχω μια ερώτηση πάρα πολύ ωραία τον φίλο του Λεωνίδα τον Δεδέογλου. Ken, 3 seconds to go for the end of the final game. Your team is down by 2. You have the ball and you can pass to a wide open teammate. Who do you see?
Who do I see?
Yeah, throughout your career. Who do you want?
I see like 10 people. I see 10
Tell us some of them.
I see 10. I see everybody. I see Corpus. I see Prelovich. I see McAdoo. I see Jamshi. I see everybody. I see Miles Simon. I see Kevin Pritchard. I mean, really, I'm very thankful to God that he was able to connect me with such great players. I mean, because it makes the game so much easier, right? And so I think most of my teammates feel the same way about me. So they will probably say, hey, I have the ball and I don't have a problem to pass it to Ken because I can't take the shot down. So I feel the same way about all my players. Listen, I love those guys. I really love the guys in PAOK, but I have a big fondness for so many players. Yeah, I see a lot of faces to pass to. They're champions. They're all champions.
Γιώργο, από μία ερώτηση για να αποδεδώσουμε.
I want 3 numbers from you from 1 to 45 for our presents, for our prizes, for the 3 numbers.
Okay, 20.
20.
24.
24.
And 14.
Okay. Now, one more question from each of you and we should release Ken.
Yes. Γιώργο, μια γρήγορη ερώτηση για να αποδεσμεύσουμε τον Ken.
Yes. Ken, I would like you to tell us a bit more about the rivalry between Aris and PAOK, though that could be an hour, a segment on its own, but we would like you to tell us a bit more about the rivalry between Aris and PAOK and some words about its legends, Nick Gallis and Panagiotis Giannakis, and all the other players.
Yeah, it's a great question. I played on some great teams and I had some great rivalries. In Maccabi, it was Hapoel Tel Aviv and Maccabi Tel Aviv. When I played in Italy, it was Montecatini Terme and Livorno, Mabo Livorno. But when I played in Greece, out of all of them, the Aris PAOK rivalry are, their rival was the greatest that I played in. The atmosphere, because they played in the same gym and they had people, the fans were in the same city, and the great players were all on both teams. And Nick Gallis and Panos Giannakis, for me, in the backcourt were almost second to none, anybody in the world. That was a great backcourt. That was a great tandem. Those guys had hearts bigger than the city. They had skill sets to match, and it was a war every time we played them. We're playing in this. I just remember, let me share this. I remember playing in those games and there being more riot police to keep the fans separated. It's amazing. I was like, no, it was great though. That says something about the rivalry, right? It says about how intense and how focused people were to win, and people were very passionate. But we felt the same way on the court. I highly respect Nick Gallis and Panos Giannakis and the whole team. And they had Ioannidis there.
Yes, Giannis Ioannidis.
It was a great time. It was the best rivalry for me in any country that I played in, no question.
Mm-hmm. So you played Yad Eliyahu, you played Milan, you played Alexandria. What was the hottest atmosphere?
Hey, listen, Palais de Sport, no question.
No question.
No, really. And it's Palo Trussardi, Palo Lido, those places in Milan, Yad Eliyahu and Maccabi Tel Aviv was awesome. But the atmosphere, listen, the first time I went with Tracy Milano to play in Palais de Sport and we played Nick Gallis, I was like, holy shit. I was like, listen, this is not true, but you'll like this. I looked in the stands and I was like, I didn't see any women. I was like, there's 8 men in here. They're going to kill us if we win this game.
Can go.
Oh, it was great. It was an eye opener. That atmosphere there is by far the greatest. No question. And the other ones are great. But listen, Palais de Sport, the enthusiasm, the passion, the energy that's in that gym. I said it earlier. If you did not come ready to play, once you stepped on the floor and you saw what was going on, you better be ready or you're going to get, it was the best. It was the best. I don't have any problem saying that in Italy or Israel either.
Ken, thanks a lot. It was a tremendous interview. It was a great honor just talking to you.
Yeah.
We must reschedule. We have many topics we haven't cleared out. Yeah. Let's reschedule. So we're going to release you for now. And I leave you with Andreas to reconnect and reschedule for one more show. It was amazing.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you. You guys are awesome, man. You guys, I can talk to you guys anytime.
Thank you.
You guys are very nice people, man.
It would be an honor if you could, if we can have another conversation. It would be an honor for us.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. You are free to go. Thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts. Εμείς δεν κλείνουμε ακόμα λίγο. Θέλω να έχουμε τους νικητές που πρέπει να πούμε. Ken, you can go. You can leave now.
Okay.
If you want. If you stay, we're going to ask questions.
Okay. I'm trying
to figure out. Ask questions if you stay.
Okay. All right. See you guys later.
See you.
Thank you.
Ήταν απολαυστικός ο Ken και
είναι φανταστικό. Μια τετράωρη εκπομπή. Ζητάμε συγγνώμη από τους θεατές που δεν μπορούσαμε να κάνουμε περισσότερες ερωτήσεις ή κάποια άλλα από τα σχόλια, αλλά μας πιέζει και ο χρόνος.
Θα το ξανακάνουμε, ήταν πάρα πολύ ευδιάθετος με όλο αυτό. Μου κάνει εντύπωση το πόσο πολύ θυμότανε, όπως είπε και ο Γιώργος, τόσα πολλά πράγματα. δεν είναι κάτι σύνηθες, γιατί πέρασε και από όλη την Ευρώπη ο άνθρωπος. Δεν πέρασε από μια ομάδα και δύο και ξαναγυρίσει στην Αμερική.
Να πούμε κάτι που μας εξομολογήθηκε εκτός αέρα. Μας είπε ο Κεν και φαινόταν ότι το πίστευε, ότι αν ο ΠΑΟΚ είχε κατακτήσει το κύπελλο των Αυστριών, μας είπε ο Κεν ότι θα τελείωνε την καριέρα του στον ΠΑΟΚ. Ήταν σίγουρος γι' αυτό.
Ένα πράγμα είναι αυτό που πρέπει να πούμε. Είναι πάρα πολλά πράγματα που είπαμε και εκτός αέρα που περιμέναμε, που ίσως πρέπει να τα μοιραστούμε με τον κόσμο. Επειδή με ρωτήσανε και σε κάποια προσωπικά, όπως μας ρώτησε και ο Χρήστος Μαργέλης, ο Κεν δεν πέρασε COVID για να μας εξηγήσει την εμπειρία του. Ήταν απλά άρρωστος, ήταν όντως στο νοσοκομείο, απλά ήταν άρρωστος. Σε αυτό το σημείο να πούμε λίγο τους νικητές που τους αφήσαμε για να φύγει ο Κεν. Το καπέλο του μπάσκετ που το κέρδισε ο Παναγιώτης ο Πόπης. Η φανέλα του μπάσκετ που την κέρδισε ο Νίκος ο Βασαρδάκης. Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ τον Νίκο τον Ανδριόπουλο και την εταιρεία Νίκαν για τα δώρα που μας δίνει καθημερινά. Και το φανταστικό δώρο του Άκη του Ζωγραφάκη του Flight Club Kos το κέρδισε ο Σωτήρης ο Καμαρούδης. Ένα footer του Kobe Bryant εξαιρετικό. Νομίζω ότι το έχουμε πάρει όλοι εδώ στο Basketbook. Παρακαλώ όσους κερδίσετε να στείλουν ένα email ώστε να έρθουμε μαζί να στείλουμε τα δώρα. Έχουν γίνει κάποια σχόλια, μήπως να τα διαβάσουμε και να τα πούμε, ώστε, γιατί απαντήθηκαν κιόλας.
Ναι, βεβαίως, κανένα πρόβλημα.
Να πούμε ένα μήνυμα του Θωμάτου Ρεϊζόπουλου του φίλου. Hello to everybody, thanks for the memories. Ken, you played for several teams during your fantastic career. PAOK also signed a vast number of foreign players, but you are our Ken of our heart. Our Ken, thank you for your contribution and the one and only championship in our modern history.
Αυτό, συγγνώμη, το γράψε ο Θωμάς ο Ριζόπουλος.
Ναι.
Καλά, με Google Translate το γράψε ο Θωμάς. Θωμάς, αγαπάμε και το ξέρεις.
Ο Γιάννης ο Πιταλίδης λέει ότι αν ο ΠΑΟΚ κέρδισε την 53 θα ήταν μια τελώς διαφορετική ιστορία για σας σίγουρα. Ο Ιακωπίνη μας σκότωσε, όπως είπαμε και πιο πριν. Αποθηκεύστε το live, ναι, το απαντήσαμε του Γιώργου του Παρασκευόπουλου. Απαντήσαμε για την. Δεν ξέρω αν το είπα αυτό στον αέρα, την ερώτηση του Βασίλη του Μπελά. Ποια ήταν η αγαπημένη θέση του Κεν, αν ήταν το 3 ή το 4.
Το ανέφερε λίγο, είπε ότι είναι το 4.
Στο 4. Η
αγαπημένη θέση λοιπόν ήταν το 4, έπαιξε και 3. Και ήταν αυτό το αστείο με τον Μπάκο ότι έπαιζε 3 την εποχή του Λέβινγκστον και όταν έβγαινε ο Φασόλας έπαιζε 5. Ήταν πάρα πολύ αστείο. Δεν μπορέσαμε να κάνουμε ερώτηση του Άλκη, του Ντάλι. How good was your college teammate David Rivers in college? Were you ever close to play together again in Europe? Την επόμενη φορά. Να δω τώρα τι άλλο. Έχουμε τις καλησπέρες πολλού κόσμου που δεν το λέω να τις πω. Ποια είναι η καλύτερη ομάδα, την απαντήσαμε. Το draft 86 μας είπαν ότι είναι και ένα από τα draft που έχει φέρει από τους περισσότερους ξένους που πέρασαν από την Ελλάδα. Αυτό θα ήθελα να το έχουμε με νούμερα πουθενά σε άρθρο.
Νομίζω ότι είναι, αν θυμάμαι καλά, είναι ή 10 ή 11, αν θυμάμαι καλά.
Δεν το έχεις κάνει ακόμα άρθρο αυτό?
Εγώ θέλω να το κάνω αυτό.
Το γράψει κάπου, αλλά δεν θυμάμαι πώς είναι.
Νομίζω Γιώργο σου δώσαμε homework για το καράβι.
Θα σου πω, εγώ θα σου πω, γιατί θέλω, λέγεται καταραμένο draft το 86, γιατί υπήρξαν πολλοί παίκτες από τον Chris Washburn μέχρι ακόμα και τον Αρβίντα Σαμπόνις, βέβαια, για τα δεδομένα της Αμερικής.
Είναι το draft που έκανε ο Len Bias και το Roy Tarpley.
Ο Len Bias, ναι, δηλαδή είναι τόσοι πολλοί παίκτες που είχαν ταλέντο. Δηλαδή, ακόμα και ο Αρβίντα Σαμπόνις, βέβαια, θα πούνε μα ο Αρβίντα Σαμπόνις, ναι, αλλά πάντα για τα δεδομένα του NBA. Ναι, είναι τόσοι πολύ μεγάλοι παίκτες που μεγαλούργησαν. Πάντως, σε αυτό που έλεγε για τον ΠΑΟΚ του 93, και ήθελα να το ρωτήσω, αλλά δεν προλάβαμε. Νομίζω θα συμφωνούσε κιόλας έτσι όπως. Δεν υπήρχε. Ο ΠΑΟΚ έχασε μια μεγάλη ευκαιρία, με όλο το σεβασμό στις υπόλοιπες ομάδες, αλλά δεν υπήρχε γιουγκοπλάστικα, δεν υπήρχε Tracer, δεν υπήρχε Μακάμπι, ακόμα και ο Άρης δεν υπήρχε. Ήτανε ομάδες, ναι, πάρα πολύ καλές, πάρα πολύ δυνατές ομάδες, αλλά δεν ήταν οι ομάδες με την εμπειρία που είχαν οι προηγούμενες. Η Μακάμπι ήταν μόνιμο στα μόνα στο Final Four. Η Tracer ήταν 2 φορές πρωταθλήτρια, ενώ η Γιουγκοπλάστικα μόλις έβγαινε από ένα θρυπίτι. Δηλαδή, αυτές οι ομάδες όχι μόνο είχαν βαθύ ρόστερ, γιατί μιλήσαμε και για το βάθος, κάτι που ταλαιπωρούσε μόνιμα τις ελληνικές ομάδες. Γιατί οι ελληνικές ομάδες είχαν το κακό ότι είχαν 5 με 6 παίκτες maximum. Ενώ εκείνες οι ομάδες είχαν 7, 8, μπορεί και 9. Ειδικά η Γιουγκοπλάστικα. Θεωρώ ότι ο ΠΑΟΚ, αυτή ήταν η μεγάλη ευκαιρία που χάθηκε, ίσως περισσότερο και από εκείνο που έγινε στην ΑΝΤ, ήταν το 93, κατά την ταπεινή μου άποψη.
Και ήταν ένας τρόπος για να μείνει το μπάσκετ στην Θεσσαλονίκη χρόνια ακόμα. μέχρι να κατηφορήσει, γιατί θα κατηφόριζε νομοτελειακά με τους γίγαντες ανθρώπους που ασχολήθηκαν με τον μπάσκετ κάτω στην Αθήνα. Παιδιά, δεν ξέρω, ήταν απολαυστικό, ήταν από τις πιο ωραίες εκπομπές που... Γιατί επίσης δεν είπαμε ότι τι κάνει ο Ken Barlow αυτή τη στιγμή στη ζωή του. Αντρέα, τι μας είπε?
Ναι, μας είπε ότι ασχολείται με την κοινότητα εκεί που μένει στην Ινδιανάπολη. Έχει ένα camp, όχι ακριβώς camp, μια, πώς να το πω,
Ακαδημία.
Ναι, μια ακαδημία για μικρά παιδιά και για μπάσκετ, και επίσης είναι και σαν ιερέας κάπως
Αυτό το αμερικάνικο, το πάστορας μάλλον.
Ναι,
Πάστορας, ναι.
Δεν είναι ακριβώς πάστορας, είναι περισσότερο αυτός που κηρύττει. Είναι κήρυκας.
Ο κήρυκας. Ναι, στην Αμερική το έχουν αυτό.
Δεν ξέρω εγώ πολύ καλά. Αλλά όπως είδαμε, ο Ken είναι ένας πολύ ευχάριστος άνθρωπος, πολύ εξαιρετικός κύριος πραγματικά. Αγαπάει την Ελλάδα, αγαπάει τον ΠΑΟΚ, όπως και εμείς. Δηλαδή, δεν πιστεύω ότι στον ΠΑΟΚ τον θεωρούν ίσως τον κορυφαίο ξένο που έχει τη φόρεση στη φανέλα του ΠΑΟΚ.
Ναι, νομίζω πως έχει βγει κιόλας.
Με τη μεγαλύτερη προσφορά τουλάχιστον.
Ναι.
Δηλαδή, ο Ken ήταν ο παίκτης ουσίας. Είναι αυτός ο παίκτης που έμπαινε μέσα, δεν ήταν θεαματικός, δεν σου έκανε. Αλλά με το πολύ το παιχνίδι είχε 20 πόντους, 15 rebound και έλεγες τι έγινε, ρε παιδιά, πότε έγιναν όλα αυτά.
Και να προσθέσω σε αυτό δύο πράγματα. Ήταν αυτό που λέμε deceptively athletic, δηλαδή έκανε κάποια καρφώματα από εκεί που δεν το περιμένεις. Είχε κάποια poster dunks, κάποια καρφώματα στη μούρη αντιπάλων που δεν τα περίμενες. Και δεύτερον, μπορεί καμιά φορά λιγάκι να λέμε το τρίποντο κτλ. Πώς γίνεται οι ψηλοί να βαράνε τρίποντα στις μέρες μας. Αλλά ο Κένι τα επιχειρούσε στην εποχή. Επιχειρούσε 2 με 3 σουτάκια τρίποντα ανά αγώνα. Κάτι που τον έκανε λίγο μπροστά από την εποχή του.
Είπε ένα στατιστικό στοιχείο ο Αντρέας off the air ότι παίζει λίγο για τα ποσοστά του.
Ήταν κάθε χρόνο, στα 3 χρόνια που έπαιξε στην Ελλάδα, ήταν κάθε χρόνο μέσα στην πρώτη πεντάδα και τον scorer και τον rebounder. Και το ποσοστό στα δίποντα ήταν άνω του 65%. Νομίζω μια χρονιά πρέπει να ήταν και γύρω στο 70%.
Φαντάσου.
Δηλαδή τώρα να έχει ένα παίκτη που είχε 70% στα δίποντα, μιλάμε ότι είναι λεφτά στην τράπεζα.
Και να πούμε ότι από ό,τι κατάλαβα, συγχωρέστε με αν κατάλαβα λάθος, ότι ήρθε στον ΠΑΟΚ κατά λάθος. Επειδή ήταν τραυματίας ουσιαστικά.
Ναι. Ήθελε να φύγει από τη Μακάμπι μετά από 3 χρόνια.
Τον ήθελε ο ΠΑΟΚ την προηγούμενη χρονιά, αλλά ήταν τραυματίας και ήρθε.
Ναι, και ουσιαστικά, αν ο ΠΑΟΚ δεν έδειχνε τον Ντέρι Μίλς τότε, δεν έδειχνε. Ο Μίλς ουσιαστικά ήρθε στην Ελλάδα για να κάνει διακοπές τότε. Για να χρησιμοποιήσει τον ΠΑΟΚ για συμβόλαιο στο NBA, όπως κάνανε αρκετοί παίκτες. Όπως έκανε ο Τόμ Γκουλιώτα αργότερα και λοιποί. Ο Ήρβινγκ Τόμας έπαιξε για ένα ημίχρονο με την ΑΕΚ, στον Γιώργος Μόσχος. Στον αγώνα που διακόπηκε με τον Μπουκάλι που είχαν πετάξει τότε στον Κόρφα οι οπαδοί της ΑΕΚ. Τα είχαμε κάνει και αυτά, ναι, το παραδέχομαι. Και όταν έφυγε ο Τόμας, ο ΠΑΟΚ στράφηκε στην περίπτωση του Κεν, ο οποίος είχε μείνει ελεύθερος στη Μακάμπι λόγω του τραυματισμού. Και ήρθε ο Κεν στον ΠΑΟΚ.
Πώς αλλάζει η ιστορία από ένα τυχαίο γεγονός, έτσι.
Γιατί ο Κεν ήταν πραγματικά τεράστιος παίχτης. Τεράστιος. Δηλαδή, όσοι θυμούνται τη Σαραγώσα, που ο Κεν παίζει στο 5, δεν θυμάμαι πότε, νομίζω από το 23ο λεπτό που αποβάλλει το φασόν 5 φάουλ, ο Κεν παίζει στο 5, έτσι. Ο ΠΑΟΚ εκείνη τη στιγμή παίζει με τον Νίκο Σταυρόπουλο, παίζει με τον Μπάνε, παίζει με τον. Δεν θυμάμαι ποιο παίζει στο 3, παίζει με τον Μακαρά στο 4. Ναι, με τον Μπουντούρι, ναι. Και παίζει με τον Μακαρά στο 4 και με τον Γκέν στο 5. Με αυτή την ομάδα ο ΠΑΟΚ έβγαλε τη Γενέβη. Και η Σαραγώσα έχει τώρα τον Μαγκί, τον Αντρέου, έχει δηλαδή.
Τον Αρσέγκα.
Τον Αρσέγκα και ο Κέν είναι ο παίκτης που σκοράρει το τελευταίο καλάθι του ΠΑΟΚ για το 76-82. Και παρεπιπτόντως, σαν σήμερα να θυμίσουμε, είναι η επέτειος του Τωρίνο για τον Άρη και η επέτειος για το κόρατς του ΠΑΟΚ, δευτέρου τελικού στην Τεργέστη.
Σημαδιακή ημέρα. Νομίζω καλύψαμε όλα αυτά που μας είπε εκτός αέρα ο Κεν. Αντρέα, έχεις την ιερή υποχρέωση να τον ξαναφέρεις κάποια στιγμή με περισσότερο χρόνο και με κανονικά τις ώρες να τις ξέρουμε, για να μην έχουμε πάλι τέτοιο πρόβλημα το σημερινό.
Θα προσπαθήσω.
Ναι, ήταν και να μήπως να το φέρουμε μαζί με τον ατζέντη του, όπως μας είπε και ο Χρήστος.
Ή τον David Rivers.
Ή τον David Rivers, ακόμα καλύτερο θα ήταν αυτό. Θα το ψάξουμε.
Να ξέρει ο κόσμος ότι προσπαθούμε να φέρουμε παίχτες αυτής της εμβέλειας σε αυτή την εποχή που όλοι αγαπάμε και από όλες τις ομάδες, έτσι.
Ναι, γιατί το μπάσκετ δεν είναι μια ομάδα, δεν έχει χρωματικές αποχρώσεις, ούτε πολιτικές. Το μπάσκετ είναι ακριβώς αυτό που λέει, είναι μπάσκετ.
Ακριβώς, ειδικά για τους ξένους και τους Αμερικανούς είναι λίγο δύσκολο, γιατί είναι και η διαφορά της ώρας. Είναι δύσκολο να τους βρεις. Προσπαθούμε να ξέρετε ότι κάνουμε ό,τι καλύτερο μπορούμε. Και εμείς και ο Χρήστος ο Μαργέλης με τις επαφές του κάνουμε ό,τι καλύτερο.
Νομίζω ότι μπορούμε να αποδεσμεύσουμε τον Γιώργο τον Καρούλια να επιστρέψει στα ιερά του καθήκοντα. Αντρέα και εσένα. Σας ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ για σήμερα.
Και εμείς ευχαριστούμε, Θανάση.
Εμείς ευχαριστούμε, Θανάση.
Να είστε καλά και στο σπίτι. Stay tuned, όπως θα έλεγε και ο Χρήστος. Καλό βράδυ.
Ευχαριστούμε πολύ.